Persona as a series never really interested me. I was part of the group that would make fun of the games, but never play them or even try them out. That was until my friend Josh started playing Persona 3 Reload and told me how awesome it was. That kind of planted the seed in my head. But the thing that actually got me to play is much more ridiculous than that. It was an AI Sonic cover of It's Going Down Now disguised as a D's Nuts joke, and I wish I was joking. I went on to buy myself the game for Christmas and played it on this very channel. That was until I decided I want to play this for myself and experience it. And so I did exactly that. I stopped streaming and played it on my own accord. But in return, I made a promise. If I reached 100 subs, I'd make a video essay on the game, and it's been a year, and we're almost at 200, so, I'm sorry I'm late. Now, I of course finished the game, and I loved it, but why am I only doing this now? Well, I wanted to improve my video writing skills, and also, I wanted to get this, and this was $140. This was, not cheap. Now that I have it and can experience everything, I'm ready to make the video. So, without further ado, let's talk about the history of Persona 3. Persona 3 is a very special Persona game. The first two before this were completely different gameplay-wise. Persona 1 and 2 were very linear, and social links weren't really a thing. 1 and 2 were also direct sequels, unlike 3 onward. You can't play 2 before 1, or else you'll miss out on stuff. Also, not to mention, 2 is also 2 games, Innocent Sin and Eternal Punishment, and they are back-to-back sequels, so technically, I'm talking about Persona 4 right now, but there's a lot less harmonica in this one. But why the change? I don't know if this is the definitive answer, because finding an answer is hard, but they pretty much wanted to modernize the series. However, there are videos of the original battle system, and it's a lot closer to how Persona 2 was, meaning there were plans to make 3 more like the last 2, but they changed it in the end, which I'm glad, because this is much better. Now, I want to get into the many versions of Persona 3, starting with the original. This is just pure Persona 3, the way God intended. Moving on to Persona 3 FES, things begin to change. Most notably, The Answer, a post-game of sorts that just kind of shows off what happens after the main game. This version also added some new personas, added an Aigis social link, which, why wasn't that in the original game? And most importantly, you can now take Koromaru on walks. This was the way Satan intended you to play Persona 3. Then there's Persona 3 Portable, which I spent $140 on. They added a female protagonist called Kotane Shiomi, and I probably completely butchered that. Her campaign is completely different from Makoto's, who is the male protagonist who you usually play as in Persona 3. The music is different, there's different social links, and it's basically a fresh experience. It's also much more like a visual novel, mostly because of the PSP's hardware being decent, but not decent enough to handle P3 in all of its glory, but hey, now you can directly control your party members. Yeah, you couldn't do that before now. They just have free will, which sucked at times. And they removed The Answer, so it's a bit mixed on quality, but all around a solid version. Now, Reload, the community's favorite punching bag. This version is great. Sure, they removed the female MC. Sure, The Answer is now paid DLC. Sure, the art style is way too good. I don't know why people complain about this version. I'm gonna be so real. The Answer wasn't really liked by many, and female MC I can understand being mad about, but other than that, it's a great version. They updated the graphics to fit with 5 and introduced a lot more people to this amazing game. Now, sure, I didn't grow up with the original, so maybe I'm not nostalgia blind like everyone else, but this is the best way to play Persona 3 in my honest, humble opinion. But with my opinion piece now out of the way and a bounty on my head by the Persona 3 community, let's talk about the actual game, which will be many fans' first time seeing anything about it. Time waits for no one. All are equal in its flow, all lives born to their ends. You, who would protect the glimmer of the finite future, you have a single year. Go forth and live in the time given to you, even in these halcyon days of repose. Let your heart guide you and never stray from its path. This is the very first message you see upon starting a new game, and what a way to start. It's so vague and ominous, but it gets the point across perfectly. Moving on to the game itself, I'm gonna give a quote-unquote quick summary and then kind of talk about specific parts I like. You're a boy named Makoto Yuki who moved to the Tatsumi Port Island because, we just felt like it, I guess. Well, on our way to our dorm, we entered the secret 25th hour they coin the Dark Hour. everything turns green, everyone goes into coffins, and these creatures called shadows come out to play. We have an ability that not many have, and a very special variant of that said ability at that. We can wield a persona, but not just one, we can wield multiple. This power gets us put into a team called Seas, which is headquartered in the same dorm as we were going to earlier. Seas, or Specialized Extracurricular Execution Squad, is a team made up of other persona users who want to put an end to the Dark Hour. The team consists of Mitsuru Kirijo, who's part of the Kirijo group, the same group that's actually responsible for the Dark Hour. Yukari Takeba, whose father was a scientist who helped create the Dark Hour alongside the Kirijo group. Akihiko Sanada, who just happened to have a persona. Junpei Iori, the same thing. Fuka Yamagishi, who had a lot going on, but long story short, she had a persona and is now the team navigator. Igus, who is a machine made to fight shadows, and she... dear lord, does she ever. She sealed death within a boy who happened to be us, and so we were just carrying death within us the entire time. The little boy who makes us sign the contract at the start of the game, yeah, he later becomes Ryuji, who is a sign of the end of the world, or as the game calls it, the fall, and later becomes the avatar for Nyx, who is the harbinger of the fall. Are you following along? Yeah, it's insane how much this one character does. Anyway, back on track. Koromaru, he's a dog. Why'd I say it like that? Koromaru, he's a dog that has a persona, and also an agent of Satan. Kanamata, a little boy who lost his mom due to a Dark Hour related incident which involved an ex-member of Seas. Amata joins Seas to get revenge, but eventually he joins to help save the world. And finally, Shinjiro Aragaki, a hothead who left after accidentally killing Amata's mother. Yeah, Amata wanted to kill him, which is why he joined initially, but after the whole thing goes down with Strega, who we will get to, Amata joins the fight for a good reason. It only took the man who killed his mom to get shot in front of him. Oh yeah, Aragaki dies pretty soon after we get him, but God, I can't lie, I cried at his death. We barely really knew the guy, but still, the way it was done was beautiful and genuinely made me jerk a tear, which I didn't even do to the ending of the game. There's also the chairman, but we'll get to him later. The objective of Seas is to put an end to the Dark Hour by defeating the 12 shadows that come out every full moon. But when we do that, it turns out the chairman was playing us like fiddles and was trying to bring about the end of the world. But before I go on, I gotta talk about Tartarus, because it's important to this bit. Tartarus is a building that takes over Gekkoukan High School during the Dark Hour because of the experiments done by the Kirijo group. Yeah, they did them under a school. It's a big ass tower that is an internal plexus. It's cool in concept, but in the game, it's a slog to get through. Alright, now I can talk about the end of the world. The chairman, whose name I cannot be given 2 scoops of ice cream to say, knew that killing the 12 shadows would do this, and he thought that he was the chosen one to bring forth the fall, and, well, he did bring a fall, but not the one he wanted. R.I.P. Bozo. This also kills Masuru's dad, and that messes her up a little bit, but it should be fine. So hey, since killing the 12 shadows didn't do diddly squat, what the hell's going on, man? Remember that whole thing I mentioned about Igus stealing death within us? Well, defeating these 12 shadows let him escape us, and now he's taking the form of a high school student named Ryuji. He's pretty much a sign that the fall is a guarantee. Well, to make a long story short, we have until January 31st before the fall happens. Ryuji gives us the option to kill him and live peacefully until that point, or let him live and be aware of our impending doom, which, according to him, we have no way to stop. Letting him live nets us the good ending, where we fight Nyx one-on-one. But before we go to battle with Nyx, we make a promise. Since killing Nyx would technically be killing Ryuji, we'd most likely lose our memories of the Dark Hour, so we promise not to forget and meet up on graduation day in March. We head into battle ready to face whatever hell awaits us, only to get stopped by Strega. Oh yeah, Strega. Strega is the villain team that are just annoying. The only important character is Chidori, who helps Junpei complete his character arc. Jin is just a simp who follows Takaya, who's cosplaying Jesus, thinks he is Jesus, and is like obsessed with Nyx and the concept of the fall. They do things for this story, but obviously not a lot. They just feel unneeded at times. I don't know how to explain it, but I hope someone out there feels the same, because I dead ass forgot Strega existed until I replayed the game. Anyway, once Jin kills himself and we beat Takaya's ass, we're up against Nyx. This This is the best final boss music I think I've ever heard. Remixing the Velvet Room music just makes it feel like this is it. This is the biggest fight of our damn lives. You get Nyx down to like a camel's vagina hair of health, and she'll switch her Arcana and revive. This goes on until he reaches the Death Arcana. After you get her health down this time, she finally goes down. Victory is right there, but then she gets up. The moon begins to fall, causing a huge wind that pins everyone down. The people in the coffins are awakened to the dark hour and are seeing the end of the world happen right before their very eyes. We are mentally transported to the Velvet Room, where Igor tells us that the bonds we formed gave us an exceptional power, the Universe Arcana. A rare arcana that not even he's seen with his own eyes. We've done it. We fulfilled our contract. This power will let us do the impossible. We enter the Moon Majora's Mask style, and we're up against Nyx's core. It tries to kill us, but we endure. We hear our teammates calling and cheering us on. We gain our power back, and finally, we seal away Nyx. Everything goes white. We see an endless void. Our teammates there, confused, crying out to us. Ryoji calms them by saying, we found the ultimate answer to life, and that they got the miracle they were looking for. Life will continue as normal. They did it. They did the impossible. They appear back outside Tartarus and gaze upon the tower as it slowly deconstructs itself. Once Tartarus is gone, we emerge from the entrance of the school. Everyone in tears of joy huddles around us, happy to see us alive. And so, the season's changed. It's now March, and the day they promised to meet is fast approaching. But they seem to have completely forgotten about it, as they predicted. This day kind of acts as an epilogue. You talk to all your social links, or in some cases people affiliated with those social links, and get a closing to their stories. Some even mention that we look a little sick, but surely that's nothing, right? The next day, we're woken up by Aigis. She tells us it's graduation day, the day they promised to all meet again. She seems to remember everything, and so do we. We wait on the roof for them like we said we would. Mitsuru, while giving his speech, starts to remember everything, and so does everyone else. So they all run up to the roof to fulfill their promise. Meanwhile, Aigis is talking to us. When we first met her, she didn't have an understanding of life. She was robotic and lacked human emotions and even empathy. Now, she's impossible to tell apart from a human and a robot. She pours her heart out to us and tells us it's okay. We can rest now. We're given the option to close our eyes or to do nothing. Now, in my original playthrough, I made the huge mistake of not choosing close your eyes, in some hopes it'd keep Makoto alive. In the end, it didn't work. The game's entire message went over my head. I remember looking up on Google if others had done the same, and while yes, they have, most of the comments on this post were people saying that if you don't close your eyes, you miss the whole point of the game. And that moment of realizing my mistake really opened my eyes to the way I view media. I was ignorant. I wanted to ignore everything the game was saying because I wanted to live in a world where everything that happened to this point was for nothing. I had a flawed way of thinking and viewing things, and in this moment, it all really dawned on me. I've yet to play a game that challenges to see if I have changed since then, but I hope that when I do, I make the right choice. Unless Resident Evil 9 counts, I chose the option to get the good ending, so someone tell me if that's character growth or not. Persona 3 is beautifully tragic. The characters are so well written, the world feels so lived in, the story it tells is beautiful, and this entire game is phenomenal. The music, especially the credits music, is just chef's kiss. Now, I'm far from done with this game. I want to talk about some moments that just really stuck out to me. Aragaki's death. One of the most tragic moments in this game. Aragaki was an original member of SEES who left shortly after accidentally killing Amada's mother. But later on in the game, when Amada joins back, so does Aragaki, as a way of atoning. Well, Amada plans to kill Aragaki to get revenge for his mother. On October 4th, during a full moon operation at the Tatsumi Port Island outskirts, Amada waits for Aragaki. He goes on a spiel about how this is what his mother would have wanted, and Aragaki responds with sympathy, saying things like, "I get it. I deserve this, but just know, if you do this, the guilt will eat you alive." And as this is going on, here comes Mr. Christ trying to stir this pot, saying, "Killers deserve to be killed," and crap like that. One thing leads to another, and Aragaki gets shot by Takaya while trying to protect Amada, leading to a scene that genuinely made me cry when I first saw it.
What's with the long face? Isn't this exactly what you wanted? It's alright. Hold on to that anger. Let it be your strength. You've still got your whole life ahead of you, don't you, kid? From now on, gonna have to live for yourself.
But I can't.
Okay. Look after him.
I will.
The music, the acting, the pet he gives Koromaru, the soul, just everything about this scene is so perfect and just packs a punch straight to the gut, especially if you do his school quest beforehand. What hits especially hard is if you go to his room after he dies, you can find a box full of his stuff and even a reinstatement form, meaning he was thinking of going back to school for Mitsuru and Sanada to fulfill his promise to them, showing he remembered and he cared. When I tell you, I never cried so hard from anything ever. It's such a tragically beautiful moment that I can never forget for as long as I live. But, fun little fact, in Portable, as the female MC, you can save him, max out a social link and he'll live. He'll be hospitalized for the rest of the game, but he will in fact survive. The next thing I want to talk about is a social link. Now, there are 22 social links in total, and I was going to sit here like briefly explain them and talk more on the ones I like, but yeah, for all of our sakes, I don't think I will. If you want it so bad, I'll do it for Persona 4. Anyway, the dying young man. When I told my friend JSV I was playing Persona 3, he told me that I had to do this social link. To unlock Himeki, you've got to get Maiko's social link up to a certain point and then also have Koromaru on your team. After that point, every Sunday, you'll see him at the shrine, and as the name implies, he's a man who's dying. Everyone looks at him with sympathy and treats him like a fragile package instead of a human being, and I already connect with this. To get a little personal, I had a spinal stroke a few years ago, and for the longest time, people looked at me as if I couldn't do anything. Some of them had good intent, but to be seen as weak and to be treated as someone that'll shatter at the slightest touch, it's dehumanizing at times. So, the connection I had with this guy was instant. I can only imagine how I would have felt if I talked to him when I first played this game. Makoto is the only person to ever look at him like a human, so he takes a liking to us. As his social link goes on, he tells us he wants to write a book, and by the end of his social link, he does write it. It's about a pink alligator that, because of the fact he can't blend in, he has a harder time living life. He doesn't have any friends and is constantly starving. One day, the alligator finds a flightless bird and they become friends. One day, the bird is sleeping in the alligator's mouth and by accident, the alligator swallows the bird. He tries to spit it out and save his friend, but it's too late. The alligator killed his only friend. The alligator went on to cry so much that he drowned in his own tears. Years later, it created a beautiful sanction that animals often visited. This is a children's book, by the way. I don't truly understand what he was trying to say with the story. I get it was a reflection on his life, but just something doesn't make sense to me. But I don't know what. Regardless, the story is beautiful. The fact that the alligator that suffered left a positive impact on the world around him, despite the tragedy he went through, is just so beautiful. His entire social link is perfect. Also, the story is mentioned in Persona 4, meaning someone published it, and it obviously did well, so in the end, this man that saw no light in his life was able to achieve the dream he had. The last thing I want to talk about that really stuck out to me is this game's ending. We obviously die on January 31st when we use the Great Seal, meaning that Makoto just told Death to wait so that he could fulfill his promise, like some Chuck Norris crap. Oh, well, anyway. This game's use of the whole you have a year thing just so well done. You've only got a year to live, so make the most of it. Memento Mori. The other games in the Persona series, while great games, have no real stakes to their endings. The main characters live, and that is far from a complaint, trust me. After this, I needed the ending of Persona 4. But it does make Persona 3's ending all the more impactful and, dare I say, perfect. With that though, I think it's time to give my closing thoughts. It has been a year since I promised I'd make this video, and here I am finally finishing it. I can't lie, I'm glad I waited this long. It gave me time to grow as a person. The story this game tells, as I've said many times now, is tragically beautiful. Death is scary, but running from it only makes it scarier. Face life head on and the fear will go away. Don't waste your time. Do what you want before you can't. And I know, even after I write this, I'm going to have filler days where I do nothing. We all will. But still, the message is something many of us greatly need. Don't waste every day. At least try to achieve something. Set a goal and achieve it. I feel like, for me, This hit even harder once I actually pieced it all together. Again, I had a spinal stroke and my legs don't work like they used to. I wasted a lot of time doing nothing when I was fully able. I took what I had for granted when I had it. Don't live life with that same guilt. Don't die having done nothing when you could have done something. That is one of the many reasons this game is so special to me. It just speaks to me on a very personal level. Not to mention the world. I had never been this invested in a game's world before. I sought out NPCs, I immersed myself in a way I never had before. This game generally changed so much about how I viewed media that is not funny, and I am forever grateful for it. Not to mention the music is just mwah! Chef's kiss.
Never let it faze me. I'm keeping good vibes when I'm on the road. Watch out for all surprises. What it provides is good and bad, but nothing entices. Drop these balls in my sleep. Few more tricks up my sleeve. Wait till late for you a little now. Get ready.
Disturbing the peace. Look into my eyes. Another day goes by. Look at the time I keep up. A different day gives us.
Now, one more thing I want to talk about before I end this video. What is the best version of Persona 3? This is a big discourse in the Persona fandom, many calling Reload a soulless remake, saying that FES is the best, the original is the best, Portable is the best, and after playing all of them, I gotta say, there's strengths in all of them. But if you're new to the series, then yeah, go for Reload. Even if you're not, Reload is a perfect choice. If you want the female MC, then go for Portable. Hey, Editor Arcade here. I completely forgot to mention this in the script, but fair warning, the port they have out everywhere for 3 Portable is genuinely horrible. AI upscaling, crappy audio design, and if you're gonna nab Portable, just wait for it to go on sale. They usually have 3 to 5 on sale for 30 USD as one big package, so if you can nab that, I'd go for it. Anyway, back to the video. I will play devil's advocate a little bit. I like the concept of the original's UI. Having it be a revolver's barrel is neat, but I like the simplicity of Reloads a lot. Everything being mapped to a button instead of needing to scroll for your options is very nice. There's honestly no real wrong answer to which version you choose. I vastly prefer Reload, but you might not, and that's fine. Now that I've stated the obvious, I can finally end this video. Thank you all so much for pretty much 200 subscribers now. Like, wow. Hello, glad that y'all like my content. I hope you all were able to enjoy this video. If you want a video on episode Aigis, then let me know and I'll gladly do it. Same with Persona 4, as I love that game just as much, if not more, than Persona 3. Anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time with most definitely not the Minish Cap.